Hello everyone, Penrose776 here. I've seen the silhouette, so we're expecting Among Us Tellius babies. Where the hell did I say Among Us? Mia is Tellius, the first Tellius character on this banner.
I'm gonna be the best sword fighter.
Yes, you are, Mia. You're gonna be the best sword fighter. Yep, looks like our intel was correct. These are Tellius. God damn it, why am I thinking of Among Us? Anyway, Mia, as usual with the baby banners, these are always very funny because the baby versions of characters are pretty much unilaterally better than their adult versions, and I'm expecting to see very much of the same here. Mia is red sword infantry. She is armed with the sharp war sword. Sure, give a child a sword. What could possibly go wrong? It accelerates special trigger, cooldown count -1. If a skill compares unit speed to a foe's or ally's speeds, treats unit speed as if granted +10. My friends, this is the first weapon in the game to have phantom speed in it. I love that. At the start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants no follow-up and dodge to unit for 1 turn. And if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed def res +5 to unit during combat. It's pretty much everything that a fast infantry unit could ask for. You've got your no follow-up. You've got dodge is that same thing as all the green skills. It's a stats that applies your 40% damage reduction based on speed. You've got your +5 to all stats during combat because again we are in the year 2022. Everyone gets +5 stats all the time. You've got the sliding effect. But the really, really exciting thing here is that phantom speed. One of the things that really holds your dodge tanks back, and I guess we can call them dodge tanks because the stat is called dodge, is that a lot of the units in Fire Emblem Heroes that are trying to kill you very hard are also fast. You look at like some of the biggest damage nukes in this game, there's basically 2 types. There are ones that have 1 high defensive stats that they use to scale a massive something or other, bonfire, ignis, whatever have you, or they're attack and speed based, and that means that if you're a unit who's relying on outspeeding that foe in order to get your damage reduction active, suddenly you have a little bit of a problem, because especially like if you're near the speed cap, they're near the speed cap, the maximum amount of speed you can reach is about the same. So phantom speed in the weapon lets you finally break that stalemate between fast tanks and fast attackers, and means that already this is looking like one of the strongest dodge tank units in the game, by my estimation. The other interesting thing, since her weapon applies for dodge status, that means you can run a double dodge, or even now that Vital Astra exists, a triple dodge build on this unit. And Vital Astra is probably going to be pretty good because it looks like she's going to be very, very fast. She comes with Dragon Fang as the special. So probably high attack, high speed, flashing blade 4, very handy use of special acceleration there. Speed, defense, tempo 3 in the B slot, new inheritable skill. What does it do? Inflict speed defense -3 on foe, and neutralizes effects that grant special cooldown charge +X to foe, or inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. That, my friends, is very exciting. This kind of special nullification I guess we can call it a tempo effect now, so that's the skill name. This kind of tempo effect is, was until literally just now, quite possibly the most premium thing you could have on your weapon for getting through tanks or just being able to guarantee specials in general, because guard is everywhere. And, you basically needed special acceleration just to be able to get off a special in the first place. If you wanted to get off in a special at an accelerated speed, you needed this. And this effect was on very few units, but now it's inheritable. So suddenly the range of viable units out there just shot up a lot. The follow-up question is, this is inheritable, but who is it inheritable on? That's going to matter a lot. That's going to matter a lot because basically any class of unit that this is inheritable on has suddenly become insanely viable, just in general. Personally, I'm hoping that it is not particularly restricted, that you can inherit it on a lot of units. At the very least, I'm hoping that it is wider than the classic restriction of melee infantry. I'm hoping that maybe ranged units can get it, maybe units with different movement types can get it. If it is just melee infantry, then I'm going to be sad, but it's understandable. But if you can give this to more things than just that, boy, are we in for a fun time. So yeah, tempo skills, great stuff. Let's keep rolling. Yeah, some pretty hefty attacks there. Oh, 71, big number. Soren! Soren is here, my friends. Oh, I forgot that Soren was like this. Should we really be summoning this guy? Honestly, with the other kids, it's still kind of weird that we are summoning them and making them fight for us, but at least they seem pretty excited about it. Soren, on the other hand, this kid just needs some therapy. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. So yeah, Soren. We've got this poor, sad little guy. And we are making him fight on the front lines because we're the heroes, people, the Fire Emblem Heroes. He is a colorless tome infantry, and well, here it is. Here is his tome, the Adroit War Tome. Is he adroit? Let's check. Yeah, I guess Soren is pretty adroit, especially when he's grown up, but he's a baby. We're making this sad little baby fight. Why are we doing this? Accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack res plus 6 to unit during combat, and the following effects will occur based on the value of unit's res minus foe's res. If greater than or equal to 1, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. If greater than or equal to 5, if foe uses sword, lance, axe, bow, dagger, or beast damage, foe cannot counterattack. If greater than or equal to 10, reduces the percentage of foe's non-special reduced damage by X% skills by 50%. Example, a foe with a reduced damage by 45% skill would reduce damage by 23% instead. What? Okay, couple things to bring up here. First, why 45%? Why did you pick reducing damage by 45% as the specific example here? One, it doesn't round down nicely when you halve it, so it's 23% instead of 22.5. Two, who even has a reduced damage by 45% skill? I know Nemesis has one. But just in general, 40% and 30% are way, way, way more common than 45% damage reduction. Yeah, I'm not going to question it. But in any case, this is a weapon that relies on you out-rezzing your opponent. There's a couple of weapons like this. Selkie is one. Selkie again is another one because Selkie has alts. And of course, we cannot forget Picnic Flora, who is still the best unit in the game, even if she's having to take a little break. I hope she gets a refine soon, actually. That'd be pretty sick. But yeah, Soren joins that club. If he outreses them basically at all, he gets a follow-up attack for free. Great. If he outreses them a decent amount, he gets Wind Sweep. Wind Sweep is an interesting pick. It's an interesting pick. I say this because doesn't regular Soren have Water Sweep? Have they changed his sweep between like old and baby? Is that how it works? I would have preferred. I think they could have gone away with giving him Fire Sweep, honestly, but it's just Wind Sweep. Why not? And if he significantly outreses you, he gets that Duo-Leaf effect of halving your damage reduction. Very strong, and it's worth noting that units, at the very least, this gives him a pretty big leg up on speed-based damage reduction units. He's going to have a tough time against dragons, which don't know how we're fitting that in with, because they run Dragon Wall, which is res-based damage reduction, so they're also trying to out-res him. But against speed-based damage reduction, those units are already likely stacking attack and speed, and they put a decent amount into their defensive stats if they can, but res generally isn't the priority there, meaning that Soren is gonna trigger this against a lot of those units and halve all their damage reduction. Great. Or non-special damage reduction. As for the rest of his kit, Iceberg, he's gonna have a big res stat. We could have guessed. We could have guessed by reading the weapon. A Mirror Impact. Well, he already has a guaranteed follow-up attack from his weapon. What are we going to pair that with? How about preventing foes follow-up attack? Kind of implies that Soren's going to be a relatively slow unit, which, well, I mean, he might not. We don't know, but being a relatively slow unit is fine for him. Again, if he's getting that Duo-Leaf effect of he's cutting through speed-based damage reduction anyway, no problems there. And in his C slot, Times Pulse is an interesting one. He's got a 2 cooldown Iceberg, so that's going to drop it down to 1. Unlike a lot of units that have Times Pulse, there's not really an obvious combo here, but it is still very strong, very good fodder. Unfortunately for you, Soren. Very good fodder on this guy. Mirror Impact is a skill you can pick up as just the 4th tier skill pretty easily, so you can pretty easily fodder off both Mirror Impact and Times Pulse at the same time if you feel like it. As for his actual weapon, it's decent against speed-based tank. It struggles a lot, though, against just plain old regular tanks, because those can have pretty monstrous amounts of res. I'm going to be honest. Pretty monstrous amounts of res. And unless Soren is stacking ridiculously hard in terms of res, what are you going to do? You're not much is what you're not going to do. You are going to do not much, actually. Negatives. Fun times. But without being able... He needs 10 more res than them to cut through their damage reduction. Against fast units, pretty easy bar to clear. Against maybe your safe ball unit surrounded by flames and elements and all that nonsense, 10 res is going to be nearly impossible to outdo them by. But still, real fun guy. Wish him the best. Still don't get why we're making him fight, though. Yep, there he is. There's his iceberg. 46. Oh, that's a big iceberg. Ilyana? It is! Awakened appetite.
I guess I could share my snacks with you.
She's so cute and tiny and hungry. Those are her key character traits, especially being hungry. She is equipped with the Windy War Tome. It's frickin' windy. That is, of course, a green tome, because everyone knows wind magic green. She's probably... Is she going to be our demote? Our 4-star demote? Because this looks like a pretty great kit for a demote, not going to lie. The Windy War Tome grants res +3. If foe initiates combat, all foe's HP is greater than or equal to 70% at start, 75% at start of combat, inflicts attack res -6 on foe during combat. And also, if unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from area of effect specials, excluding rogue or area of effect specials, by percentage equal to difference between stats times 4, max 40%. And also, if unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res +5, foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So kind of putting a reverse Soren here. The same conditions as Soren, requiring more res from the opponent. Although she wants to be initiated into or just be fighting a full health foe. She's inflicting attack res -6 on foe. And she, again, her res-based condition this time isn't damage reduction, it is just flat damage reduction. It is in fact Dragon Wall. Not on a dragon, but it's in a PRF. So that's definitely an interesting way to play things. And Soren gets his guaranteed follow-up attack. Ilyana, her weapon, if she has 5 more her foe can't make a follow-up attack. This is honestly mildly confusing me, because they've given us 2 weapons in short successions that have basically flipped effects from each other, but also are worded completely differently. Fire Emblem Heroes, why can't... You've started not giving us the whole last dictionary every time a unit comes out, but the wording still is nowhere near consistent. That being said, as far as effects go, pretty decently strong. I think falls into the same sort of trap as Soren does, where a lot of the tougher units for you to fight are also going to be units that it's difficult for you to out-res. But she maybe has a better time of things because she looks like she wants to be more of an enemy phase fighter. She literally has an enemy phase condition, and if you compare the units that you're fighting in enemy phase for units that you're fighting in player phase, the units you're fighting in enemy phase tend to have a lot lower res. Consider it. In her special slot, she has Glacies because, as if it wasn't obvious already, this is a unit with a very high res stat. Lull attack res free. If this is a 4-star unit, that is a real interesting pick to put in there. Lull skills, still one of the best just all-around B slots for a lot of units, remarkably. Well, I guess tempo might be the new thing for some people now, but if you're a it took until the flow skills for cavalry units to have something to compete with lulls, right? Lulls are still up there. And in the C slot, Attack res gap, free. Another interesting one. The gap skills, not necessarily the most useful, but you'd be surprised at how much use you can actually get out of them, especially because they hit the ally with the highest attack res total wherever they are on the map, right? That's one really neat thing. They can support someone who's going down the other end of the map for a clear, even if you don't want Ilyana to follow them all the way over there. The other thing they're really nice for is AI manipulation. This is very much a me thing. This is not a general player-based sort of thing, but your Aetheraids rally AI, your Aetheraids defense rally units, they are only going to rally units that they can actually buff the stats of most of the time. So if there's a specific unit you really don't want the AI to run over and rally for you, what can you do? You can buff that unit's stats some other way. And what other way is better than gapping them up? I should call it something different than that, but yeah, if so long as the specific unit that you want to pre-buff so that they don't get rallied has enough stats to qualify for a specific gap, then you can just hit them with the gap, and voila, AI fixed. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Aside from that, yeah, interesting unit. Don't think she's particularly meta-breaking, but she's fun and unique. Fun and unique and hungry. Don't forget, feed her. But yeah, really hoping that's a 4-star demote there, because those are some... Oh, quite... Well, I guess we knew she had a really big res stat. Yep, there we go. And our duo, it is, of course, Ike and Mist.
Wait up, Ike! I'm coming with you!
Not this time, Mist. This isn't for
Wow,
fun.
Ike has a really deep voice for a child. They are, of course, our duo unit, equipped with the sturdy war sword. Keep that in mind. Mia, sharp, Ike, sturdy. This one has one hell of an effect. I can see that already. Grants attack +3. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack speed def res +5 to unit during combat, and if unit's attack triggers special, the following effects will trigger based on the number of allies within 4 spaces of unit. If greater than or equal to... Wait, 4 spaces? So I was just reading on for the rest of the effect, but 4 spaces is a massive range, buddy. That's like... I'm holding my hands really far apart to indicate how wide 4 spaces is. You can't see it, but it's happening. 4 spaces is huge. I've said this before, there's a lot of maps where it's legitimately quite difficult to even get 4 spaces away from someone. So keep that in mind as we go on for the rest of the effects. A 4-space condition is basically not very much of a condition at all. Anyway, if he has more than one ally within, or one or more allies within 4 spaces, before unit's first attack, grants special cooldown count -X, where X is equal to 50% of unit's max special cooldown count value, rounded down to unit. Also, if there's an ally near him at all, he goes into combat, and before he attacks, he instantly gets his special half charged. If greater than or equal to 2, reduces damage from foe's first attack by X%. X equals unit's max special cooldown count value times 10. Special based damage reduction. And if greater than or equal to 3, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and units effects that prevent units follow-up. No, it's null follow-up. Okay, so really interesting. He's getting 3 things there. With 1 unit in range, half charging is special before he gets to attack. If 2 units in range, special based damage reduction, and if 3 units in range, null follow-up. The null follow-up being on the 3 unit condition is kind of interesting, actually, because that kind of hurts his player face ability, I think. Just a little. Normally, like, four space is massive range. The fact that he's got no follow-up on the 3-unit condition, though, means that you're having to remain within 4 spaces of your entire team, unless you're an A4 but also the fact that it's on your 3-unit condition means that you probably don't want to be running null follow-up in the B slot. So there's gonna be conditions where sometimes you just lose null follow-up and there's not really much you can do about it. Also interesting that Ike has become an attack and speed based unit by the looks of things. Ike previously was like the odd lord out for being really heavy on attack, having decent speed but not quite as high a speed stat as every other lord in Fire Emblem. But it looks like as a baby he is fast. Understandable. He has his PRF special, Radiant Ether, which is a really good fit for him. Since your special gets half charged before combat, you want a special ideally with an even number. Like, if you're running a 5 cooldown ether, the only thing you're getting compared to your 4 cooldown ether is 1 extra tick of damage reduction. You're still getting 2 special cooldown before combat either way. But Radiant Ether, obviously the Lunar effect really good against tanky units, and the healing effect is just great for his sustain. Definitely a bruiser, this Ike. Distant Dart in the A slot. Unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. If foe initiates combat, grants speed +5 to unit during combat. So we finally have the distant counter speed stance version of the distant counter stance close distance. The various skills that they've been throwing around that are close or distant counter plus 1 extra effect, that all have names that you are never going to remember because they use unique adjectives, or are they nouns? They might be nouns for every single one of them, and you are, I mean, it might also be a verb, honestly. Let's not get stuck in the weeds about grammar. You're not remembering them, is the key point here. If someone says to you distant dart, like 5 minutes from now, you're not going to think, oh yeah, it's distant counter stance, speed +5. You might be able to guess speed from dart, but there's the other one that, is it pressure? Is it distant pressure? Am I right about that, or am I wrong about that? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of these. This is a new one, but at the same time, despite being new, it's nothing exceptionally exciting. It is now probably the optimal choice of these skills for anyone who's running speed-based damage reduction, which this Ike isn't. But hey, whatever, right? He has in the B slot Null C Disrupt Free, still a pretty difficult skill to actually pick up. It's on a couple units, Naylor, Fallen Lion, Winter Altina, but you know, that's a very few units compared to the number of units in the game, and this is a skill you either need or you don't, right? It's very important in matchups where you're being hit with Windsweep, where you're being hit with staff units, where you're being hit with Flash. But if those effects aren't around, then you'd rather be running something else. In fact, on my own Winter Altina, while I was using her on offense, I swapped her Null C Disrupt out for Vantage, because, fun fact, people had built their teams assuming that she wouldn't have Vantage because of Duo's Hindrance, so they get really surprised when you've got Vantage in the B slot, and she just shreds them anyway. Very funny. Very fun. I wish I could do that some more, actually. But it's save ball season now. We're saving people. And in the C slot, Joint drive attack. Sure, yeah, go for it. Joint drive attack, one of the better C slots out there, just because attack is a stat that you always need and that your allies always need. You can never go wrong with more attack. And great. Anyway, they are a duo unit, so presumably they are going to have a duo skill. Well, we get an animation first. Oh, we can see their stats as well. Yeah, very attack and speed focused. Their duo skill inflicts attack speed -7 and guard on foes within 5 rows or 5 columns centered on... That's basically the entire map. Centered on unit through their next actions and inflicts special cooldown count +2 on those foes. Okay, so it's like an odd pulse tie or even pulse tie sort of effect on everyone in a massive cross. Big old massive cross. Like, Gatekeeper's cross is already pretty much the entire map. This is 5 rows or 5 columns, so this is pretty much the entire map, even if you're standing like right at the corner of it. And you're hitting them with attack speed -7, guard, and a pulse tie. So, basically, you'd better be running tempo or else no specials for you. Actually, the other neat effect is, unlike a lot of these kind of special reducing effects, this is more of a pulse smoky effect, where it can work no matter what their special cooldown count is. A lot of other special decharging counts effects normally only work on specials which are fully charged, so you can kind of skip around them by being at 1 count below fully charged. Here we're saying nope to that. Doesn't matter what your special count is, you're getting less of it. So, very, very strong effect there. Probably going to absolutely ruin the life of an FEH team if you can get it off of it. You look at that range! That's the entire map except for those 2 spaces up there. Insane. Honestly insane. And yeah, very, very attack and speed focused. There's the pre-charge. There's the immediate Radiant Aether. Actually, that pre-charge is pretty strong too, because it means that they, again, can dodge those types of effects. Who's our Tempest Trial unit? It's BOYD! Ilyana is for 4-star focus, but it's BOYD! That is actually the funniest part of this entire banner for me. Color sharing on red, actually, quite nice for 2 strongest units here. And you get Celeste stuff for that. But BOYD, famously, the one member of the Grail Mercenaries who is not in the game, is now in the game in Seasonal Hell. But not just any seasonal hell. Seasonal hell. He is stuck as a baby. Baby BOYD is in the real game, but adult BOYD is nowhere to be flipping seen. Nintendo, you gotta be screwing with us, buddy. Anyway, really, really interesting banner. Whether I summon or not, because these units are strong, don't get me wrong. Actually, I think Mia might be the strongest unit here. Ike seems pretty strong with his big specials and his bruisery nature, but aside from his built-in damage reduction, he has nothing really special to protect him from units who just walk up and kill him. Mia, on the other hand, seems like the strongest unit here, but what's really gonna depend, or what me rolling is gonna depend on, is who in tempo is inheritable by. Because if tempo is inheritable on a unit that I would really like to have tempo, then buddy, you know we're summoning for it. But if it's not, then I guess we can hold up and see how things go, huh? But let me know if you're summoning, actually, because red, if you want the units on this banner, red seems like a really good color for 2 really strong sword infantries, if you haven't got enough strong sword infantries already, because there are dozens of them. The red color share is great. The other units, interesting but not so strong. Decent fodder, though. So yeah, let me know if you're summoning, and as always, I will see you all next time. Penrust out.